I switched my comms channel off of the main marine channel and told him to shut his comms off for now. We looked in the cameras and spotted the pirates after a moment. They were only tiny specks and then something a little bigger, but it was definitely them. Come on, Eyes. We're gonna show those pirates it was a bad idea to come back. He nodded. Chapter 17, In the Garden of Eden. Roof, mid-morning, day 2. The pirates were coming in a little slower this time, and they were being more cautious. This gave us a little more time. Follow me, I said to Eyes. Same plan, he asked, with a tone that was skeptical if the same plan was going to be successful for a second time. He seemed to wonder if any plan was going to be successful and was looking to me for confidence. Same, but different, you'll see, I responded. I had a few more tricks up my sleeve. Not a ton, but a few. I grabbed my bag, and we made sure Kitty stayed in the hole for safety, and ran up the Grand Hall stairs, then ran through 2 entertainment rooms. We ran through the crew offices, and then up through the bridge. We looked out to make sure the pirates were still far away and out to the west, and they were. Eyes unlocked the door out to the east, and we went up to the roof garden. I quietly told them we were going to do a low crawl, and they absolutely cannot see us for the plan to work. This had to be a complete and total surprise. I took my bag off and dragged it alongside me in the crawl. We crawled through a huge garden which offered a lot of cover and concealment in what had the potential to be a beautiful summer day. We crawled in between batched together companion plant crops. There was a bean patch that had celery, corn, cucumbers, radish, and strawberries. We crawled around that plot, and there was a corn patch that had cucumber, melon, squash, beans, and more beans. I imagine later there would be pumpkins in there too, later in the season. There were maybe 8 of these patches total. I wasn't sure, but they were huge. We crawled by another one that looked like a peas one that was beans, carrots, corn, cucumbers, radishes, and turnips. I looked at the labels as I went by. They all said like no GMO, which meant nothing in them was genetically modified. I also saw signs that said they were all heirlooms, which meant they could take the seeds and grow new ones. As we crawled to the edge of the garden, it reminded me that the seed companies had basically made it illegal to reproduce plants. They had convinced Coors that they had manipulated the genetic makeup of plants so much that they owned the reproductive rights of them. Instead of just letting nature work things out, they had played creator, and it had become nearly impossible to buy seeds that we could regrow new plants from ourselves. It looked like this yacht had a supply of good heirloom seeds somehow and kept them fresh, which is good for them, which is good for their longevity. I looked to my left and there was a greenhouse. There must have been a gardener on board. It was maybe big enough for a person and a single plot size of plants. That doesn't seem great for full-size plants, but it actually was for tiny seedlings for winter. With that, we finished our crawl to the edge, and we had plenty of cover and concealment. There were steel benches that wrapped the garden, and the wall came up about 6 inches before turning into steel railing. This is where we would go up. Or, this is where we would set up. They had no idea we were here. The pirates were still coming in slow and well over 1,000 meters out. Eyes was looking at me and looking at them. He could tell there was a lot of them. Hey, there's a lot of them. You think we can stop them all? Eyes asked. In truth, I didn't think we could, but I wasn't going to say that. The plan actually in my head was to hold them off. Maybe we could keep them shooed away long enough for the fear engine to recharge, and we could hide. That could buy us a few more hours at least. I had no idea. I had thought of trying to power up the ship and radioing out, though, but they would see us. It wouldn't help because backup would have no way of getting here. any sooner than whatever they were planning regardless. There would be a high chance of transmission interception anyway. It was easy enough to listen in on the common radio bands. It only took a few seconds to find out that a signal was being broadcast on and then start listening in. So, as a general rule, we maintained radio silence until things were already in motion. We used code words for actions en route anyway, and unfortunately we hadn't established any with the land team before the mission. That really only left me with a basic plan. I tried to give him as confident of a sounding plan as I could. We're going to let them get into what's called a kill zone, and then we are going to try to ambush them. You remember about how good your aim was with my sidearm? That's exactly what we're going to do this time. Except, we're both going to wait and then be shooting at the same time. How's that sound? He looked at me and he smiled and gave a thumbs up. I'm going to let you have my main sidearm this time instead of my backup. It mechanically works the same, except you'll have about 220 rounds of ammo instead of what you had earlier. I peeked up just slightly and the pirates were within 1,000 meters in closing. For this ambush to work right, we're going to have to be on opposite ends of the roof, so they can't easily tell where the rounds are coming from. That'll be the best we can do for this ambush. Is there anything in specific I'm looking for? I was asked. Great question, I responded. Anyone who looks like they're in charge, anyone who's piloting a boat. Most importantly, if you see anyone with a rifle that has a scope on it, or someone that's looking through binoculars, anyone that has a rifle and scope is your absolute top priority, or if they salute someone or seem to be taking commands from someone. Also, once we suppress them, we'll be taking slower shots, making sure we make our hits count. That'll exponentially slow them down, hopefully leaving us with only a few of the least threatening and trained to deal with. Eyes nodded. I gave him 5 mags, which he put in his pocket. Then I gave him my main sidearm and showed him the indicator that it was loaded. He kept it pointed in a safe direction the whole time and kept his finger off the trigger. Remember that they don't know we're up here. They have no idea where we are. They initially thought we were up here, and they were wrong, and one of them paid for it. Now they think we'll be down here. We'll only have one chance to make this count. We need to get as many of them as possible, use our element of surprise to full advantage. It may seem like you have a lot of ammunition, but it is going to go fast. Only shoot quickly if you need to suppress them, otherwise, don't hesitate to take a few precise shots, duck down, and move a little if you need to, so you aren't popping up in the same place twice after the initial assault. Eyes gave me another thumbs up. I popped my head up and they were within 800 meters or so. We were out of time. Anything else? I asked, and he shook his head. Okay, I said. I'll let you take the first shot this time since it's your ship. You remember your aim and distance from last time. We won't stop firing until we've driven them back. The exit phrase will be parrot. That will mean to get the hell down to the hole immediately, okay? Eyes nodded grimly. I hated to say that part, but I hated lying also. It pissed me off to no end when people refused to plan for an exit. I peeked up and the pirates were within 700 meters. It was time to split up. I closed my eyes and said a quick prayer for both of us. Please help us be okay. Thanks for everything we have, and thanks for new friends. If today's the day, then that's the way it goes. I opened my eyes and saw a tear in his eye, and we fist bumped, and that was that. Chapter 18, Resisting Pirate Wedge. Roof mid-morning, day 2. We each crawled off to our spots. I poked my head up to check on the pirates. They had got closer now, maybe around 600 meters. Plenty close enough for me to see better with my binoculars. I counted several jet skis, way too many to be able to shoot them all. Several 8-foot boats with 3 to 4 guys in them apiece. I counted 2 20-footers, and then at the front of it there was a 100-footer. That would be the flagship. Sure enough, it had a black and red pirate flag with the anarchy symbol on it. Sure, I thought to myself, that's probably where all the dedicated marksmen would be, but I didn't see any, so possibly, but not assuredly.